Yo, what's going on? Monday morning nomads and drifting podcast listeners. I'm Brian.
I'm Monica.
And welcome to the Backspace Nomads podcast, where we share our nerd for gaming, movies, and all the dork in between. On today's podcast, we're discussing what's a nerd versus a geek. We're finding out what games best fit into movie genres. And then we get into last week's game releases and the good, the bad, the indie. It's April 8th. This is episode 54 of the podcast. So let's start the show. Monica, how have you been? What'd you do last week?
Oh no. Don't ask me that question.
I do it every week. You should be ready for this.
I know, but this week I don't want to talk about it. No, I've been playing more Ni no Kuni. I'm just getting overwhelmed because God of War is coming out on 4/20.
Oh, God of War, blaze it.
Yeah, God of War, blaze it. 4/20, and so I really want to beat Ni no Kuni, and I want to play through A Way Out before that happens. I am trying to not go into further debt. I'm so tired of my debt problem, my gaming debt problem. So I've been playing some Ni no Kuni, and I've really been liking it. Though there in the game, there are different like there's games within the game. Like I get so confused. It's like, why do I have to run around with these little chibi characters through the map that I could just walk through normally? I can't explain it. They've taken different game dynamics and they have implemented them so that you have like a city building almost type of feel amongst other game dynamics. And it's just a little exhausting, but
I love that though.
Yeah, so I decided that I really wanted to, when I was playing it, because I've been streaming it on the Backspace Nomads Twitch channel.
We have a Twitch channel, Monica?
We do. It's twitch.tv/Backspace Nomads.
Thanks for that information.
You're welcome. But I've been streaming it there, and I decided the other day that I really wanted to be fresh faced for the people that were going to stop by, and so I bought this mask that I've been seeing online, where it just seems like every blackhead or any type of impurity ever known to man could just be ripped off of your skin. And I was really excited about it. I was like, this is so great. I'm going to exfoliate for the stream. Everyone's going to love it. And I slathered this pitch black goop onto my face. And
it was pitch black. It was like, it was eating light.
It was eating light, yes. And then I let it dry and I went to go pull the mask off, and I realized that this is not a like rubbery or tacky mask. This is just like I put Gorilla Glue on my face. And for the next 20 minutes, I had to basically like just peel little bits of it off while I was screaming in the bathroom. I did stream still, but I have seriously on this podcast, I have talked about good things for your skin before, because I talked about Differin because it really started helping me with some acne. Yeah. And this is not something you should buy, guys.
No, I was thinking about it.
You should not do it. It's unless you like pain. If you like pain, go buy it.
Okay.
Yeah. What have you been up to, Brian?
Well, I've just been feeding the ever-evolving addiction to Fortnite that I consume now in my life, Monica.
Have you been buying a lot of the skins?
Yep.
Are you?
Yep.
Is this...
I can't... Like, you're talking about gaming debt? I got a skin debt in Fortnite because I want to play with these skins I bought, and then I just look at all the ones I have, and I'm like, well, I used to play with that one like 2 months ago. I loved it. What happened? Like they just coming out with like all these great skins, and I don't know how to stop myself from buying them because they're expensive.
Yeah,
they're like $20 a pop, and I'm like, well, all the people who watch the stream want to see the new stuff. Might as well give it to them.
I feel like you are going to have a Game of War situation on your hands.
I feel like I have a Game of War situation. I have railed against what mobile gaming has done to like wallets. I'm like, they're just doing this little cosmetic stuff. They're just, getting in there. It's kind of shady what they do, and then hot damn, because I actually like a game. I'm
Yep.
right. Like it gives me no benefits in the game. I'm just looking different.
Yep.
If anything, it hurts me because now I have a pink bunny that everyone can see me with from across the map. So I'm paying to lose a game. It's I saw this dumb post on Reddit the other day where, they have gliders that you can buy. Like you jump out, you're gliding down to the map with them. And so they did have different gliders there. And someone made a concept art for one that's just a mom's credit card. Oh, man.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that's all I've been doing. Not a lot of other. I can't find time to play other games. Like I wanted to check out Far Cry 5, and I'm just like, I just don't got the time anymore.
Yeah, that's all right. Someday you'll have 200 games too. You'll be a gamer, but you'll be a gamer of one, and you won't know anything else that's come out, and it'll be all right though.
All right. Well, let's get into the show for today then. I know we kind of were digging around like, hey, what can we talk about? And we got stumbled on this article from IO9 that debating the differences between geeks and nerds. There's this really funny infographic. And so let's talk about that.
Wait. It's not IO9. It came from Slackprop at WordPress.wordpress.com. That's where the original infographic and all the data that came for this infographic came from. So I don't want to give them credit for it. They're not the ones that actually put it together. But yes, stealers. But they did go and they looked. The experiment was that they were going to analyze two sources, Twitter data, and they looked at 2.6 million tweets via streaming API, and they searched the API to match query terms of geek and nerd during that period. And then they associated those terms with either geek or nerd to figure out how we categorize between the two. Yeah. So the PMI statistics measured correlation, and basically they decided that this is now the official definition for geek and nerd. And I really did not, I guess I did not know the definition of geek and nerd before this. Well, because a lot of the things that I felt were nerdy, I always thought of geek as like a pushing the glasses up. Oh no. Type. No, I was totally wrong.
What are you, stuck in the 90s?
Yeah, I am apparently. Because I am definitely, I think I might be more nerdy than geeky. And I didn't want to affiliate myself that way.
Well, you definitely don't come off as somebody and who is like comes off as a nerd, or you definitely don't come off as a geek, because a geek seems to be someone who is more culturally obsessed with an idea, right? You're more into like the movie side of things, comic books, stuff like that, and so you don't come off that way because no offense to all the geeks out there, Monica, you look like a normal person. You look like a well-adjusted adult. Whereas a lot of people who walk out there with like head to toe Marvel gear on, like a Captain America shirt and like Hulk sweatpants, they're going out there swagging.
That sounds
like
sexy.
See, nerds go for geeks all the time. It's like, rival colleges, opposites attract. So
there are some terms that go kind of right along the line between nerdy and geek. Those are like geek or like gamer is at the very top of the list. It trends on the nerdy side, but it's very close to the geek side. And then there's other ones on these are on the nerdy side: Weirdo, Big Data, books, Zelda, The Hobbit, reading, library. Those are very, very close to geeky, but still on the nerdy side. Some of the terms that are on the geeky side are fashion, Spider-Man, computers, Doctor Who, Superman, comics.
Whedon.
So those are very, very, very close to one another.
Yeah. It definitely makes sense. I'd date someone who I would put more on the geeky side of life because she is obsessed with Harry Potter. Like that's her deal. She goes full in on it, and that's a
Mhm.
geek. Or like me, I've taken astronomy courses in college. Like that's more of a nerd. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think I identify as a nerd more so than a geek. I know a few of the high school jocks would just throw both of those in while they're beating me up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Geek nerd, geek nerd.
yeah,
Bam,
pretty
bam,
much.
bam.
Here's my
Yeah.
left fist geek. Here's the right one nerd.
Yeah.
Got you.
um, so on the very outer edges of this graph, for nerdy, you see seminary, neuroscience, goths.
Seminary, isn't that religious school?
Yeah. Biochemistry and
Goths.
yeah, goths are on the very outer edge.
Why are goths
Nerds. I don't know. They're nerds. They're not geeks. Okay. And then on the geek outer edge, you've got shiny, documentary,
Oh, I hate someone who talks about documentaries.
iPod, and hashtag stuff.
Hashtag stuff.
So if you've got lots of stuff. So basically, the summary of all of this data is that collections are geeky, academic fields are nerdy, science and technology words differ. So, more general terms are closer to both, but when you get into like the outliers, you're looking at one or the other.
Yeah. Like gamer rides the middle, right? Are there
Yes.
certain types of games that are like would be more of a geeky game versus like now this is a nerdy game? Those are the nerdy gamers.
I don't know. It's more so about a hobby. So hobbies are compared to more geeky terms, meaning that like if you were playing something like, I don't know, Berserk, when Berserk was turned into, that would probably be more on the nerd because you might have learned about Berserk through the anime and the manga, and you're kind of following on that hobby of participating with that. The brainiacs or intelligence are more geeky.
Right.
So if you're a collector, you're more geeky. Geeky. If you're more of a brainiac, you are more on the nerdy side. So smarty pants, that type of thing. Yeah.
So, all right. So someone who plays like SimCity, they're more of a geek, but someone who plays City Skylines is more of a nerd. Is that where?
I guess so. Yeah. I think that's where we're landing. Yeah.
Okay. Because I think of people who play like EV online. Those are the biggest nerds I've ever found in online gaming. The amount of math that it takes to enjoy that game. I look at them like, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
But then me, I'm cool. I played World of Warcraft.
Yeah. I don't know. After reading this, I always kind of considered myself. I feel like I got the definition swapped a little bit, but I do think I'm a little bit more nerdy than geeky. I have like minor collections, but not anything big. I follow things that I enjoy, but not to a extensive amount. I've had comics, but I haven't collected like an entire thing of comics in ages. And so, or like entire thing and an entire like series of comics in ages. And so I think I'm more of a nerd.
I don't want to. Does it sound insulting from like, yeah, you are a nerd, Monica?
No, I'm okay with that.
Okay. I think like I ride the middle way too much because I am super interested in a bunch of these nerdy stuff. But at the same time, I do collect comics. Like I have an entire like Star Wars comic collection. I do have an entire like when Marvel tried to reboot their thing, I was like, I'm gonna start collecting these, and that kind of went away. But I do like geek out and like collect things. As much as I hate doodads, they are in my closet collecting no sunlight.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next thing we're going to talk about today. Very interesting idea you came up with. What movie genres do games kind of fit into?
So I think my thought process here was just I don't know. I was having a Monica moment where I was thinking about games as a whole and like what's missing in games. You know, we kind of tend to see similar types of games and similar storylines. Now, we might meet a character in those storylines that's better written
Mm-hmm.
or a little bit more charismatic that we care about more, but we see a lot of the same tropes and settings, and it can get like, but sometimes they stand out to us. And I was like, well, what's been missing?
Mm-hmm.
And in particular, the reason why I started thinking about this is because I was like, there's never been like a Homeward Bound or Black Beauty game
Yeah.
on a large scale. Now, you kind of came back at me, Brian, and said, well,
I'll
there's
snap back at
Okami.
you. Yeah, I'll clap back at somebody.
Yeah. But, and I agree. And what's funny is that game is considered one of the best games ever made.
Yeah.
So why are there not more of them? Because they're basically what I'm talking about is the element of a game where you're taking the main character, the protagonist is an animal, and an animal in the traditional sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, if there's suddenly an influx of animals as main protagonists, you know it's because of me. All right.
I'll back it up. I'll like years from now, I'll be in a documentary. I'm like, well, she sat on a podcast and talked about it with me.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's not a lot of games out there that aren't like humanoid type animals or whatever, where you're taking the personality of an animal. Think about like literally Homeward Bound or Black Beauty or these characters from books that have come into movies.
I would love to see like a Jack London video game, like Into the Wild made. Like, how do you make that into a video game? I would love to see that.
Right. So I think the thing is that I thought about that a little bit more, and then I started thinking about different type of movie genres and what they equate to within the gaming sphere.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with like some genres and see like what kind of the best game is in there, or if the genres may be missing games that we could maybe brainstorm. So the first one, a thriller. And I still don't, a thriller is kind of a suspenseful movie. I still don't fully understand the genre of thriller, even though you tried to explain to my dumb ass what that would be.
It's not necessarily an action flick, though there is probably action in it, but it doesn't have to be. Like, you can have legal thrillers, right? Where like you're going after like you're a lawyer and you're going after a serial killer and trying to find the serial killer. There's just a really intense element of suspense to thrillers.
What was that one Tom Cruise movie with Jack Nicholson? It's like, you can't handle the truth.
I don't know, but maybe it was a thriller.
It was thrilling to watch that scene.
Okay, good. Okay.
I get it now. It's very exciting for me.
So with thrillers in video games, I can think of a few. I would consider Heavy Rain.
Oh, yeah.
A thriller. Although, because there was an impending sense of doom happening, you were kind of against a clock to find your son.
Yeah.
You weren't necessarily combating anything, but you were wanting to succeed in a mission, and the only thing that was holding you back was your own knowledge. I do think that there are a lot of thriller games out there.
I think one for me would be like one of the old Fallout games. I forget, it's like 1 or 2. But it's back when it was still like a top-down, like, mouse clicking game to get along. I think the most thrilling thing about that was and you just sparked me because you talked about the time thing. The main motivator is your vault's going to run out of water unless you get this piece. And so you leave the vault and you're up against this kind of ticking clock of where, if you don't come back here in 60 whatever days with this piece, everyone's just going to die. But you can just go out there and live in the world. And it's like, it created this like external threat in your back of your mind. I think that like that, to me was a good thriller game because I'm old and 2D games used to thrill me.
Yeah, no, it's true though. I don't know that thrillers, I don't know that a lot of video games fall into the thriller category as a whole though.
I think a lot of the walking simulator ones do. I know I watched on stream. What's that one? It was a walking simulator. like its life is something. It's like some young girl who can like manipulate time or something like that. And it's probably going to be a horrible 2 minute of me trying to figure out what this game is. Uh, oh man, most walking simulators are
Okay.
thrillers.
I feel like a lot of walking simulators are environmentally driven, though. Like
Life is Strange.
Life is that
How
is
dare you? Thank you.
the way you described that was
I think spot on, but that's me.
okay. Well, I don't know. Life is Strange, I would say, was a thriller.
Mhm.
Yep. I would consider that a thriller 100%.
So can we just take like the walking simulator genre and just change the word thriller games? Because I think when people hear the word walking simulator, which gets thrown around all the time, it makes it sound so boring. Like, how is that the name of a genre in gaming?
But I don't think that Life is Strange is considered a walking simulator.
No?
No. And there are a lot of walking simulators out there where you are just participating in, I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of walking simulators out there where you're just participating in the environment.
Okay. All right.
It depends. Like even there's a recent game that came out, Ascension, and it's really just I would consider it a jumping simulator. You're jumping from platform to platform, but
yeah,
I don't know.
It's
an idea, though. I don't know. We could dig into that a little bit more later. Thrillers as walking simulators.
Yeah.
That'd be something that you might be right. You might be right. I guess a lot of the walking simulators that I've done have had some suspense to them.
Look, I'm here to change the gaming industry. I'm just not here to put words to the microphone. I want to impact the culture that we live in.
All right.
But let's move on. What about the action genre in game? What are some of the best action games that would fit?
Oh gosh. I mean, there are a ton of action games. I feel like the action genre in film is probably the most carried out in video games on any type of level. I would say that like Payday is an action. Grand Theft Auto, I would consider action. It's also drama.
Grand Theft Auto is like the most movie-like game there is. It's so all-encompassing.
It is, but I would consider it an action drama almost.
Yeah.
I
think Tomb Raider, huge.
Yeah, action.
God of War. Get ready for the 420 God of War.
420 God of War. I would say that that's action too. I feel like action games are like where it's at with video games as a whole. Like that is a genre that video games have taken and embracate 100%.
Yeah. That's too easy for the podcast. Let's move on. Okay. That's too easy. What about horror games? Is this another too easy one?
This one's way even easier than action because there's literally there's so many horror games with video games.
Yeah.
In general, 100%.
All right, moving on. Comedy. I don't like when we brought this up. I was like, I don't think there's ever been a comedy game. Is there like a straight comedy game out there?
I think that there are comedy games out there. Now, they might not be completely just in it for the lulz, but they specifically are going after comedy as a whole. I mean, it definitely is a tag, and one that is used if there is endeavors for the game itself to be comedic. Paradigm was a game that was comedy driven. That we reviewed that on this podcast.
You have to refresh my memory on Paradigm. I can't recall it.
The guy from the Russian. It's a story click adventure. That was a comedy. Yeah. That was a comedy.
I guess all point and click adventures are kind of just comedy driven, huh?
I feel like you're really generalizing, Brian, and I think you need to step back and really, not classify everything as so. But yeah, I
can't have too many buckets. I need like 2 or 3 buckets to throw stuff in.
Well, I guess that, yes, Grim Fandango is another one, another point and click adventure that airs on the side of comedy. And so I would say that there are plenty of point and click adventures. I also would say that there are point and click adventures that fall into the horror realm. So it just depends. But I do think comedy exists. But within comedy, as far as film goes, there's also a subgenre of comedy, black comedy. And I don't think I've ever seen a video game that could fall under like a black comedy genre.
Now, I feel like I know what a black comedy is, but I can't define it. Like Wes Anderson movies are black comedies, right?
No, black comedy as in African American comedy.
That's not what black comedy is called.
Yes, it is what black comedy is called.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know.
There's a genre of comedy where it's like very like dark humor.
Okay, dark humor then. You're thinking of dark humor.
Well, black comedy then. Oh, you really? Okay. So I'll agree with that. I don't think I've ever seen a culturally black comedy video game in my life.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, I haven't either. So if it's been made, I'd be curious to find out where it was made. It's a genre that has done very, very well in film. But it's one that I just have not seen as a video game.
So what are you looking for? Like Tyler Perry's Battle Royale?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
How do you think you could approach it? Like you just take whatever thing and like, make it culture appropriate?
I don't think I'm the one that gets to define how to approach that situation, but sure, something akin to that. I probably am not the one that should make that video game though.
Okay. I'll agree with that.
You can see I am very pale and I don't think I should be the one to make that video game, but I think it would be a unique concept to introduce.
I agree with you. And I think what Fortnite has done has really showed the amount of African Americans playing video games because there's a huge, subgenre on Twitch of people who follow that type of gameplay, Whereas a lot of the gamers are kind of like hardcore elite ones. There is a whole, you go on there and they're listening to rap music. It's just, it feels completely different in like such a fun, refreshing way. So I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
War and Westerns, I think, are going to be like the action horrors that we have here lined up, right?
I mean, there are definitely a ton of war video games, like war films, war video games. Yes, 100%. You've got Call of Duty, you've got Black Ops. Yeah. And Westerns, I think Westerns are a little bit more, you don't see them as often.
But Red Dead Redemption is like the big one that feels like
Red Dead Redemption, but like outside of that, I can't think of a ton.
I can't
I'd like to see more.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? There's not a ton that exists in the Western category.
Oregon Trail, maybe? The granddaddy of them?
Oregon Trail would be the granddaddy Western. Yep, absolutely.
All right.
But yeah, that's a genre I feel like could expand. But again, Western films have to be really concise nowadays for them to appeal to the masses. So as a video game, you have to kind of do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. Probably the most interesting one we have here, the rom-com. How do you think rom-coms would fit into video games?
I don't know. Okay, so when thinking about like romantic film in general, and then thinking about romantic comedy, for one, I feel like the only romantic video games that exist out there are very much your like, let me look at these anime characters with gigantic breasts.
I thought you were going to say eyes.
And eyes. And let me flirt with them and interact with them in some weird way and try to date them. It's like dating simulators is what I would consider the majority of video games, how video games partake with romance.
I would agree with that because I don't see how it ever like works out. Like if it's not that, it's basically taking that concept and making it westernized. Where instead of just having a 2D character or 2D character with like 4 options, you're actually walking with someone on the street while choosing 4 awkward ways to flirt with them. Right?
The only thing that the game that I recently played, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, was definitely a romantic game. It was very much a romantic game. And in that realm, I think that they crossed that barrier. But romantic comedy, I don't think I've seen it. Not outside of dating simulators. I do not think I've seen romantic comedy outside of dating simulators. So that's really interesting. Like, what game has bridged that gap?
Ooh, Leisure Suit Larry. That classic.
Okay. It's so old though that like we're talking about people that are like already halfway into their 401ks. Like it needs a revamp. Romantic comedies probably could exist in the gaming atmosphere. I just haven't seen it done well.
I don't think so either. I don't even know how you do it. So, next up, martial art films.
I think that those exist.
Yeah.
It's just like Street Fighter.
Yeah. But you know, for me, a martial art film is less about the setup 2-on-2. It's like the Kill Bill 100 person versus like hordes of people. So it's almost like the God of War thing where you got a bunch of people coming at you and you're trying to use your weapons and comboing on stuff. Kind of like I'm trying to think of a game like something like Dark Souls, but with more enemies coming at you at the same time. It's like that's a martial art film that I could get down within a video game setting.
Okay. I feel like, but you still have to have martial arts. I guess he is like a martial artist. Yeah.
Yeah. He's,
Kratos is a martial artist.
100%. Defer to me on this. I have a yellow belt in Taekwondo. I am an expert on martial arts.
Did you say Taekwondo? It's
Taekwondo. Okay.
I feel like martial arts films, that's like a subgenre of action. And I do think that it carries over into video games as a whole.
Didn't they make a Bruce Lee video game where he's got like the one where he has like the yellow jumpsuit on?
I don't know why you keep asking me questions that I can't answer.
Because we're doing a podcast.
You have to answer.
I don't know that you don't know these questions.
But you.
How dare you? All right.
Stop doing that to me.
Documentaries. I feel like it could happen.
It has happened.
All right.
Her Story. A game that came out. It was kind of a documentary in the sense that you were trying to get through the story of a woman that was being accused, I believe, of killing her boyfriend. The game's called Her Story. I played it, and it won a ton of awards. But as far as a whole, I don't think that documentaries oftentimes, I don't know that I've ever seen something in a documentary type format outside of that game.
Would you consider Pokemon photo shoot or whatever it was for the N64 to be a documentary?
Maybe.
Right? I feel like we're close. How do you gamify a documentary and like a nature documentary? Yeah. It's like you're taking photos of stuff as you go along.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Now we go into the subgenre of documentaries, mockumentaries.
I thought you were going into a rockumentary, but I'll go with mockumentaries.
Mockumentary. And I don't think I've seen, no, granted, any game is going to probably be related to, it's not going to be real, assumedly, right?
Yeah.
So, or maybe they're all mockumentaries.
Is Her Story a mockumentary?
Maybe, but it's not a funny. Mockumentaries are typically funny, or they're focused on some concept of life that's like
a Spinal Tap.
Unbelievable, you know?
Yeah.
Like when the History Channel put out their like mermaid mockumentary where they were trying to prove that mermaids were real, and a ton of people believed that they were after that goddamn thing.
Excuse me, that's a documentary, Monica. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. So mockumentaries, I don't know, but it would be interesting. it's something that I don't feel like I've seen a lot of. So you're talking about like a comedy documentary as a video game.
That it feels like there's so much potential there, but I don't think that we've seen it. But there is. So, ooh, I don't know the name of this, so I'm just gonna avoid it. But I feel like there's been something. What's the one where like you're an office worker and they're taking you through all these tasks, and there's like a third person godlike character talking to you all the time?
I don't know.
All right, it's out there.
But I guess Papers, Please
Ooh.
would be somewhat of a mockumentary because it's silly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still wouldn't put it into that category. Almost with this, I imagine a setup like the game Bully.
Okay. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But you're treating it as a like trying to figure out who was being bullied or something like that, and you're looking at it from a like a sillier perspective. I don't know. I feel like that's a realm. I feel like romantic comedies, black comedy, and mockumentaries are a realm that video games have not done enough with.
I agree with you. Like the mockumentary one just feels like sky's the limit on that. Now I just want to see a mockumentary game. How much money you got in hand? Can we invest in this?
I have a bunch of bottle caps.
All right, so Fallout mockumentary is what we're looking for. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's go to break, everyone, and when we come back, we're gonna be doing the good, the bad, the indie. We'll be right back. All right, thank you for sitting through the break, Nomads. Coming back, we're going to be doing the good, the bad, the indie. The good, the bad, the indie is where we look through all the new releases in gaming and bring you our opinion on what games you should be playing, the ones you should avoid, and the indie games that you need to put on your radar. This episode, we're looking at games released between April 2nd and April 8th. And the good for this week is Welcome to the Game 2. Developed and released by Reflect Studios on April 3rd. You can pick it up on Steam for $8.99. It's on sale right now. Welcome to the Game. This is an atmospheric horror strategy puzzle game that takes you into the world of the deep web in search of the shadow web. Why are you in the search of the shadow web? Let's take you back into this story. This is a game about a girl who was captured on the internet.
Well, she was captured and she's being broadcasted. She's broadcasting for help, and it ends up landing in an investigative reporter's lap. It's sent to him. And he starts trying to figure out where she is and what's going on, presumably based off of that one broadcast by going onto the deep web, or I think they call it the shadow web.
The shadow web.
And from there, he is trying to sort out her survival. So intense.
Very intense. I think one of the creepiest looking intros to a game I've seen. I was watching a few Twitch streamers check this game out, and the video of her while she's captured and the chat's kind of deciding whether she lives or dies. That moment where you're watching that video was kind of surreal because we spend so much time on Twitch, and then you see 500 votes for her to die and 15 for her to live. It felt so real, and I guess plausible would be the right word. Very creepy game to get into.
Yeah, it's funny because we're piggybacking this the good, the bad, and the indie off of our comparisons, and I know that there have been films like this where there's some type of audience that is deciding whether or not someone lives or dies, or they're capitalizing. And as Facebook and different broadcasting services start to have more experiences with a law like this, it definitely does feel plausible. I would agree with you. One of the things that I feel like is really unique with this game is the amount of suspense that they really create. You are having to make money and capitalize off of your neighbor's Wi-Fi in order to continue your search for her. And they do, and it's all within one building. your apartment unit. Another really, really unique element to this game was that Reflex Studios put out Welcome to the Game, and it was such an indie hit that they realized that they had something there, and they put more depth to it, and they released this version. So it's definitely been taking off. It's exciting, and we don't really put horror films as our good for the week all that often. In fact, I don't know if we ever have. So it's unique.
It is unique. And not a lot of times does the indie kind of bleed over into the good. This game is just that good. The graphics in this game really feel like they're not coming from a indie point of view at all. When you're inside of your apartment, it looks so photorealistic. It's like creepy. The lone desk in the corner with like a sad keyboard and a sad single monitor. There's just something that's so like surreal about that. You're like, I've been there, and I've been in that corner in my life. Like I've sat there. I really love how they start to gamify all the stuff inside of hacking, like using the Wi-Fi nodes to set it up outside your neighbor's apartments to start collecting money off them. That is just super interesting. Going inside of it, like hacking and stuff, and setting up all these like tiny little mini games. Like I love that type of stuff. So I'm super pumped for it.
I mean, it's definitely, I guess, kind of a puzzle game, strategy game alongside horror, which you don't see a lot of combinations of. So it's blending two genres or realms together that aren't often blended, and and it delivers. It seems like it delivers. So,
dude, the dudes in the masks are so creepy. The ones that like come to kill you. No, thank you. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the bad for the week. Baby Game Plan 0 through 3, developed and published by Ulongsoft. Baby Game Plan is the fastest growing phase of human beings, which is very important for children. We developed this game by absorbing scientific research results of current developmental psychology, multiple intelligence, and games of early education for babies, characteristics at this stage. I got through that. I feel good about myself now.
I feel good about you too. Also, this has to be bad. For one, the majority of our listeners are hopefully not 0 to 3 years old. For two, it's an early access game that has no approach to growth whatsoever. It has a really cute sing-song tune that plays with the trailer, but outside of that, I am so confused by this.
It's bizarre. The fact that one of the opening things is like, "Hello kids, I'm Mia." They're 0 through 3, bro. They're not gonna be reading that.
I don't understand. I have never seen, and maybe no, that's not true. I have looked through so many games on Steam. You and I have both looked through hundreds upon hundreds of games on Steam.
We're connoisseurs.
Thousands at this point. Okay. I have not seen a game that is catered to babies ages 0 through 3, delivered as early access, and then beyond that is told that, by the way, young children need suitable toys that match their ages, and you should also take your children outdoors for social activities.
Oh, should you?
It's so weird. I don't understand what they're trying to do here. They say that they would like to enrich the software in the future based off of all of their early access purchasers. According to parents' feedback, so far there's literally 0 feedback. So I feel like I could buy this game right now, say, hey, what's the name of the game again? Oh God, Baby Plan 0 through 3. I really want my child to be a great Twitch streamer or YouTube. Ooh. Can you please include memes? I want my baby to learn memes early on so that they can be a great memer later on in life. And I feel like this studio would just be like, "What? This is our only person, the only person that's purchased the game. We have to do it."
I think you should go for it. They don't even know that you don't have a kid.
Yeah, it's true.
Just buy the game.
So if you guys want to actually be a content creator as far as like or a game developer, you can just go buy this game and start giving them advice as a parent.
I just love it's like we have the best science. We have the best scientific results to make this game. Just out there, dude.
Yeah, I guess they read a couple like Psychology Today articles and they're good to go.
Someone's walking by it, seeing in the grocery store like baby tips 0 through 3. They're like, I can make a game off this. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the indie for the week. Minute. Minute was developed by JW, Kitty, and Dom and Jukio, published by the Devolver Digital, released on the Steam for $9.99. Minute is a peculiar little adventure played 60 seconds at a time. Journey outside the comfort of your home to help the unusual folk, uncover countless secrets, and overcome dangerous foes, all in the hopes of lifting a rather unfortunate curse that ends each day after just 1 minute. This game looks great. Like, great, Monica.
It really does. So I think the most exciting thing about this is in the name.
Mm-hmm.
You have 1 minute to explore a world before the world ends, and you have to go to sleep and restart the entire day.
Mm-hmm. It's like Groundhog Day put into a video game with 1-bit graphics. The graphics in this, the audacity of them to say, we're only going to have 2 colors and you're going to love it. And they pulled it off. This game, it's very hard to make things look like they're supposed to with like 1 bit. Yep. If you go back and look at like old Atari games, they don't do it very well. Mm-hmm. The developers for Minute did extraordinarily well. I can't get over just how good this game looks with black and white and not like the grays in between. No, it's black and it's white and that's it.
I knew you were going to like this as a pixel artist because I feel like the art style is really hard to accomplish and they really do accomplish a lot with very little. I agree with you. Beyond that, the concept is just something that I haven't really experienced before. I don't know if you have. You?
I definitely haven't.
Not in this way. Now, I don't want to say that it is the first of its kind. It might not be, but it is the first of its kind that's done it well enough to gain this type of traction. And I think that Minute really, really, really has created an indie game here that challenges the simplicity of indie games alongside the quality.
Yeah, and I think to keep talking about the concept a little bit, like death has always been a mechanic in gaming recently, like resetting the game, going back to the most recent Breath of Fire game, and then like the Dark Souls, dying and getting game resets are a game mechanic. I will go out there and say I've never, and I don't think there's been a game that said, no, you have 60 seconds, that's it. And like whatever you get out of it, that's the story. And like you keep going and see how it works out.
Right.
Just out there, both thinking in terms of graphics, gameplay, and even the music is done very, very well. This feels like you're playing a old NES game in like a modern day era. It's fantastic.
Yeah. It's really awesome. And again, I think that with indie games, there's a lot that comes out week over week. And a lot of it is fun and exciting. And you get these sometimes simple games. This one brings it to a new level of simple, but yet artistic.
Yep.
It's cool to see.
I love it. Everyone's definitely got to at least check out Mint. You got to pop it up on YouTube or something. It's really something to see. That's going to do it for episode 54 of the Backspace Nomads. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you want to check us out and engage with us, Backspace Nomads on Twitter is a way to do it. We also have a Twitch stream. Monica's on there once or twice a week, twitch.tv/Backspace Nomads. Be sure to check that out. If you're watching us on YouTube and you want to like and subscribe, thank you. Also, all of our podcast platforms like Apple iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Reviewing, rating, and subscribing is the best way to support us, so we thank you for doing that. Well, that's all for the cast. We'll see you guys on episode 55. Later, Nomads.
See ya.